to make me feel. Take me into the blue.
The SAE Film Studio model of delivery, where it's studio-based, project-based learning, where we have a whole class work for 13 weeks in a real-world situation, pre-production, production and post-production. And Energy Groove asked us to make, if we can make a music video.
Lovesick is a track by Ben Pien, who is a UK artist, and it's his first single, it's his debut release, and it's kind of this funk, soul, 80s vibe track. It's really catchy. In fact, you'll listen to it and it will get stuck in your head pretty much immediately.
Know how to make me love sick enough. Love sick enough. Love sick enough.
They actually came in for discussions with the class early in the piece that talked about what they needed, what they'd like.
We initially had a little bit of an idea of what we wanted. So obviously it's a very 80s inspired track, so we did want that element in there. So we wanted those bright colours. It is a pop song, so we did want to keep it a little bit fun, but also it is a darker song when you listen to some of the lyrics as well. So we did want to throw in a few noir elements. We wanted to throw in a few maybe detectives or some tension in there, maybe tell a bit of a story and have a narrative.
So this particular music video concept really did lend itself to highly stylized production design, lighting, camera moves. There was a moving camera through it, a steady cam used. It really was like a rich mix of filmmaking styles.
This trimester we had a really large group of students in the class that produced a music video. In a number of different roles these students were thrown into. They were quite versatile in what they had to take on.
So I was the producer for the music video, which involved a lot of organising people, making sure all the schedules were followed and everyone was meeting deadlines and just everything was organised, because it's always going to be tough working with a big group of people, especially with different personalities. So I think I learnt sort of how to deal with people more. Hello! I mean, it's very stressful being on set, and you're always going to learn something new and you're always going to be stressed out. So I think learning to deal with that is something that I picked up from the music video.
Okay, my role on the Lovesick project was director. And obviously, as the director does, I was in charge of just basically getting the performance out of the actors, but also trying to work with the crew to come up with the best possible project that we could.
And action.
Learning to time manage was a massive thing for me, learning because I work as well, so trying to negotiate my time between doing things on a project and doing things on the other project and working and doing all my extra stuff outside of that. And I feel like I'll learn a lot about myself. The whole experience of actually working with professional actors on such what's really a big project, with having a client expecting a project by a deadline and to a certain standard. I think it was a really solid experience, and it was something that I can really take out of here.
I was the first assistant director, and so I had lots to do as I learned. So there was lots of organising and logistical work to be done in pre-production. I had to talk to all the different units, talk to the heads of units and make sure everyone was coordinating properly. On the set during the shoot, I did a lot of loud talking, yelling.
Quiet on set.
I was trying to get everyone coordinated and sticking to the plan and the schedule that we tried to develop. So there was a lot of hurrying people along and getting people to move on and do the jobs that they were assigned to do. It was the largest project we've done so far, so I learned a lot about coordinating the different parts of a production, from the camera teams to the location scouts to the production team to the production design team, trying to bring them all together and create some sort of cohesive vision, and making sure that everybody knows what's going on in everybody else's heads so that we're not all in a muddle.
I was
the production designer, and on set I did continuity. Being the production designer, basically design aspects, so I worked quite closely with the directors Adam and David, just talking about what sort of look they were going for, and considering it was such a hard look to describe with neon noir and all of that, we spent quite a while going over it, trying to find ways to explain to the rest of the design department exactly the look that we were going for. I learned what pressure does to a person, especially to myself. Instead of just crumbling and becoming a mess, I actually rose up to the occasion. I completed things that I didn't actually think that I was able to complete, especially the set.
When we began the project, I started off in casting. Then from there I moved to production design, production set dressing. I learnt that working for a client is way different than just having a set criteria. When you have a client, you have way more rules and boundaries on what you need to do, and the person that's giving you those rules and boundaries is much more strict than, say, a classroom. So going from that to an actual production was very different and challenging, but really helpful.
In pre-production, I was props buyer. During production on set, I was boom mic operator. And then in post-production, I'm color grader. I realized on set that it's extremely important to really get on with the people that you work with, and to, you know, as much stress as there is, to really work together and sort of problem solve around all of, you know, anything that might come up.
So I was the best boy, but I did a whole bunch of sort of minor roles. And on set, I was helping out the gaffer, Josh, so helping set up light. I know a lot more about lighting now, just sort of how to set it up, how things look, and things can look very different on camera than to your eyes.
So in the music video, I was a camera operator, and I was basically operating on the first day of the shoot. I was using the FS700. That's the first time I used these cameras, so it was good to get to know them. And in the second day we used a jib, which was really good. It's the first time I used a jib, and it gives like a really good cinematic feel to the film.
Well, I was best boy, or one of them. My role was, generally miscellaneous tasks, setting up the set, just doing what needed to be done in between things, and while we're rolling in between shots. I was operating the haze machine, so I had to kind of assess how much haze was in the room based on the monitor and what was happening. Can't be too much, can't be not enough, and it has to be consistent. If you're not kind of in those key creative positions like the director or the DOP, etc., or the first AD, then you've got to be ready to just jump in and do whatever there is. It's a very collaborative thing on the shoot.
I was the second assistant director, so I helped out with basically doing the shooting schedule, making sure call sheets were made and handed out to actors and cast. But on day one of the shoot, I was the jib operator, so I moved the jib up and down all day. What I learned was try keep calm during production, because there were times when everyone was a bit stressed out and no work got done.
I was a grip and best boy, just generally running around trying to help as many people as possible. I found myself mostly on the day in control of the door and the lights and stuff like that, making sure that we didn't get interrupted mid-take, and controlling the house lights. I learnt how to work on a film set as not a major role and have people tell me what to do and be able to bounce off people's ideas and stuff like that. So I guess I learnt more how to follow what other people's ideas are rather than try to develop my own.
Well, I was the data wrangler on set. I also helped out with sound mixing for the lapel mics for the short film version of this edit. Helped Charlie, who is the boom operator, kind of set that up as well. And I'm also the editor, so that's been a bit of a challenge, juggling all the roles together with other productions that I've been doing this trimester, but it's been fun.
My crew on the music video was director of photography or cinematographer, and my job was basically to be in contact with the director and the co-cinematographer to create lighting plans and shot lists and make them fit with the vision that the director had. I learned from the experience to not get stressed out, and especially on set as well, not to let that stress get to you so that you can keep your work consistent.
So my crew role was gaffer, so it involved me talking to the camera department and the director, I guess, as well. So basically it was my involvement into how we would set up the lights, what equipment we needed from start to finish. So the dolly was a last minute idea. I think it was used by one of our directors. So we didn't really have anyone designated to that, so I stepped up. I learned from the process that it needs to be a team environment. We need communication, we need to be effective the whole way through from start to finish.
So yeah, I was the director of photography for the project. We started off by doing camera tests to figure out which camera we wanted to use. I ended up using the FS7. I learned a lot about lighting. We did a lot of lighting tests as well. I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from the logs in the camera and how they work and how we can use them to get a better image. I learned a lot of new techniques with lighting and camera techniques and everything.
I was casting director, wardrobe, makeup, and on set I helped, as an assistant sort of thing, giving actors what they needed, like if they needed a drink, if they needed mental support. When I wrote up the ad with Nick, after many actors applied, and I had to sort them out with experience, who I wanted, who I thought the look would suit. I learned to take initiative because I did a lot of pre-production things, but when I was actually on production, apart from makeup and apart from giving the actors the things they needed, I learned that there were a lot of jobs that needed to be filled in while no one else was on them because they had other things to do.
So my crew role on the music video was camera operator, and that encompassed basically just operating the camera for the DOP on the dolly and Steadicam. What I learned from the experience was that I work well for people. I take orders really well, and I feel like it's really important to have that on a film set, as it basically helps the shoot go as planned.
I was the fanboy, which basically meant that I was just spinning the fan on set, and it wasn't a particularly glamorous job, but I think I learned from doing that job that there's just a bunch of jobs on set that need to be doing, and you might not be the director, but you sort of just have to do it, and it helps everyone, helps everything run smoothly.
From my perspective as the facilitator, it was really quite satisfying to see the students' progression through the project from pre-production with the shoot and now in post-production. The students have really stepped up and developed a lot of skills that I've been able to observe over the 13-week trimester. Things like working in a team, communication skills, taking responsibility for their crew role. Also things like flexibility, working under pressure. These are really valuable skills and attributes that the students can take into their future.
And I'm really happy that they actually stepped outside their comfort zone and made a really high-end production.
This is our first experience of how a real production actually works, and that's a bit different from what we usually do, so it's nice to have experience and sort of get a feel for how things are going to be once we leave SAE and go on our own journey. Do you want to scratch beforehand? Or?
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, Shame we don't have a couple.
How's my face look?
Pretty.
That's
distraction, but we'll just wait for those people. That's good though. We can use that one. Both of them, either. Yeah. No, I think I hear someone call you, bro. Experience.
I can't even look you in the eye. Oh, okay. All right.
Oh no, I've just kind of muddled. Hang on.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm saying.
My final thoughts. Okay.